welcome.
Welcome to episode 181 of Doctor Who Time and Space. A weekly Doctor Who podcast where every Saturday a father and son team talk about various things from the Whoniverse, including the latest news, a review of a classic episode, a fun game, and a feature chatting about some sort of topic about Doctor Who, sometimes about what's been going on recently, and sometimes things that we've made up, like today.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I'm D-Cool.
And I'm Lewis Moon.
And welcome.
Sometimes the other way round.
And welcome to our Whoniverse.
Yeah, welcome.
What do we actually have specifically on this week's show then?
This week, as I said, it's the 181st episode. I think it is. It is, isn't it? Yeah, it is, yeah.
I think so. Yep,
yeah, because
it is.
it was 180 last week.
So it makes sense.
I remember that it was that.
I'm going to move that clicky pen off of you, otherwise all everyone will hear is this.
I know. Sorry, guys. So, welcome to the viewers from iTunes, Podomatic, and YouTube. So, welcome all of you guys.
Welcome.
But what have we got on this show? We're going to be doing something new this week.
Ooh.
And it's something that we'll at least do 2 features on, which is the 6-episode challenge.
Excellent.
Now, it's a bit like the 6-chair challenge, if any of you have watched The X Factor. And this is different than we've ever done before, because we're looking at today. We've chosen, both of us, our 6 favourite Classic Who episodes, and we're both going to determine each other's choices by trying to make each other change it to make an ultimate, Maybe it would be wise to do, on here, a Classic Who podcast and New Who one, and then we do a separate video showing the full results.
Okay, yeah.
That might be
whatever
good.
you
so
think.
If you tune into the YouTube channel, you'll be able to see that. That's Mr. Lewis Moon, by the way. What else have we got?
What else have we got? We're going to give some feedback on the first 3 episodes of The Mind of Evil that we've been watching over the last week.
It's a 6-parter, so we're watching it over 2 weeks.
Yep.
We've got the latest news.
And we won't have any randomizer this week. We will also, though, hopefully have time for a 3-minute rant.
Well, I'm sure we will.
A piece.
I'm sure we will, because we don't have a full review / randomizer, so...
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get things going then. We usually have a little bit of a first start discussion around things that we've been doing this week, Who or otherwise. What have you been doing, Who or otherwise?
Okay, I've been listening to my weekly audio watch, and I've been spending quite a few weeks now listening to Signs and Wonders, which is a Sylvester McCoy one.
Yep.
With Sophie Aldred as Ace and an original companion called Hector.
It's the first of the Sylvester McCoy ones that you've listened to, isn't it, on Big Finish?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And it's a really good one.
Yeah.
Actually. Really good audio, I think. I think it's the last one of this original companion called Hex or Hector, and if I'd listened to some more before this, I would have got a bit more understanding of his character and what had happened, because a lot had been happening with him in the last few stories. But I kind of picked that up, and I really enjoyed Signs and Wonders, and I finished that now.
What's the monster in it? Is it a classic monster, or is it
an original monster?
Okay.
I can't remember what they're called.
Cool, but you're you enjoyed the Sylvester McCoy one, so is it something you'll dig in, get any others of his?
Depends whether there'll be any more deals on any of them.
Yeah.
Because I usually only get them when they've got deals on.
Yeah. What about the other thing is when I was in we lived in Dorset in the United Kingdom, and we have a bit of a struggle trying to get hold of stuff basically because there's no real, there isn't really any sort of Doctor Who type shops here, is there? One of the things we've been struggling to get over the last few weeks was your Titan comic,
Tales from the TARDIS,
and I managed to find it when I was up in Bournemouth.
Yeah.
What was it like? Have you got through that yet?
I've read the first one.
Yeah.
I usually like to read them over the weekend, so I've only read one of them so far. I've read the 10th Doctor one, but that was really good.
Yeah.
New story, and the 11th Doctor one's always really good.
Yeah.
So I'll be reading that one tomorrow, alongside the Peak Capaldi one. So, it's wait a sec. It's a really good.
Are you clicking that pen again?
No, it's just because it was on and it was really annoying me. I hate that, guys.
not the OCD.
No. There's I've lost what I was saying now. There's some really good stories going on in those magazines, and they're really good reads. So if you don't read the Titan comics, I'd recommend you do read them. And I hope I can get hold of the Tom Baker ones soon, because and also the John Pertwee ones, because both of them look really cool comics.
Yeah. Maybe at that next trip to Forbidden Planet.
Yes, I don't know whether it's come out as a collected one though. Yeah. Right. I don't know whether it'll come in my magazine. It probably won't, because the 9th Doctor one didn't. But
have you watched any Who, or just the Mind of Evil?
Just the Mind of Evil this week, but a bit of merch and a bit of listening this week in terms of Who. No watching this week though.
Okay.
What have you been doing?
I've watched a few things. I haven't watched anything Who related other than Mind of Evil.
As always,
yeah. I save all of my Who related stuff for this podcast.
Yeah. Because you're not as big a fan as me, but
I enjoy watching Who with you, basically.
Yeah.
The main thing I was watching this week, and I watched most of the series. As you know, Netflix tend to just have all the stuff out there, don't they? They just drop it all in one big go. I've been watching Daredevil season 2, which has been out for a while now, but I hadn't got around to watching it. I think last podcast, I might have watched 1 or 2 episodes.
Ooh, I think you.
Maybe 3 or 4. Well,
I think you've covered. I think you covered the first 1 or 2 episodes a couple of weeks ago. Then last week you did a little overview.
Okay,
You've
maybe
watched about half of the season.
I know that I've watched quite a lot of them this week anyway. Over a few nights I was watching quite a number, and it was a really good, really cracking season actually. Really, really good.
Cool. Was it better than series 1 or?
It starts better than season 1. I think I prefer the ending of season 1 than season 2, but season 2 was still really good.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely a lot of life left in that season. I'm sure we can see it carrying on for some time. We know that there's definitely going to be a season 3, but that's probably not going to be out until 2018, I wouldn't think.
So is there going to be a series called The Defenders, did you say, where it's like got all of them in?
Yes. Yeah, I think it will have Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, Power Man. Not sure about the Punisher. I think he's
Power Man the advertiser for power bars.
He might be. Maybe he is. But I mean, he's Luke Cage. He's Power Man. That was his other name.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure that was. Anyway, I haven't got around to watch. I mean, Luke Cage is another one that's recently come out on Netflix, so I shall start watching that soon. The other one I'm planning to watch, which I haven't watched, but there's been a lot of good things said about it, is Westworld, which I will probably start watching the first couple of those this week.
Guys, I don't really have that big a knowledge of superhero films, so I'm not.
Neither do I.
Or a TV show. I'm not a big fan of those sort of series and films, but the occasional few pop up that I like.
Yeah, I've said this before, so I won't bore people with it too much. But I am not a big lover of superhero films, but I really like the series.
Yeah.
So
okay.
definitely recommend that. And that's probably the main things that I've been doing this week. I was.
Okay.
You may have remembered last week or the week before we were talking about my intended weekly vidcast.
Yes,
which has sort of
we
gone
did.
hideously wrong the last couple of weeks because I've had a really poor internet connection and it's not
Will
been
you
able to
try
run.
and get that back soon?
I mean it might be that the sort of signal I've got isn't sufficient and I might end up doing it as a podcast or something or even a blog instead. I'm not sure yet, but I like the idea of what I was trying to do, but the means of doing it is a bit troublesome at the moment, so I'm going to have to rethink.
We'll try and get it sorted out before next week.
Yeah, indeed. Well, I'd like to get it sort of timed, ready for The Walking Dead.
Because coming soon, Deco will be giving his little reviews of The Walking Dead new series. So if you're a fan of that, then he'll be talking a bit about that.
Yeah.
But this show is mainly for Doctor Who fans.
It is indeed. So therefore, perhaps we should go on to the news.
Yes, let's go on to the news. A few bits of news this week.
Probably not as much as last week.
Not as much as last week, because obviously we had New York Comic Con. Just a quick notification that we have watched the panel for New York Comic Con.
That's good. We watched it just a few minutes ago, actually, didn't we?
Yeah.
Just before this podcast.
Yeah, so it had Peter Capaldi, Paul McKee, Matt Lucas, Stephen Moffat, and Brian Minchin in it. So if you're not sure who some of those are, you probably know who Peter Capaldi and Stephen Moffat are, because they're long-serving members of the cast and crew. But Brian Minchin is the executive producer, Paul McKee is Bill, the new companion, and Matt Lucas is Nardole, who's joining them in sort of a guest companion role.
Can I ask you a bit about that a second?
Yeah, of course.
We've talked previously on the podcast about Nardole, and both of us were probably, it's fair to say, a little bit disappointed to see him coming back. Not that we hate Matt Lucas in any way, because I think we both like him.
Yeah.
But we both felt he was an odd character to bring back.
He was, yeah.
Were you reassured a little bit following the discussion at the Comic Con? I know that I was.
I mean, you can see the show notes, misslowsmoon.weebly.com. The show notes hopefully will be out, but last week's show notes featured the interviews with Peter Capaldi, Paul McKee, Stephen Moffat, and class cast, and crew and stuff. But there was and now we're gonna have the show notes. Will feature the panel, but they did say that Matt Lucas's character will be much more. Will have much more of a, he'll be much more, how do you say?
Do I know? There's a lot more depth to him.
There's a lot more depth to him, and he might even be a bit serious at times, which I can't imagine. But
a bit sinister.
Sinister, that's what he said.
It'd be quite interesting because he was. I think what they're basically saying was that at Christmas he was a typical Christmassy sort of character. The whole idea of the Christmas special is that people have eaten too much, drunk too much, and they just want to sit down for some light-hearted.
I guess he'll be like that again in Return of Doctor Mysterio.
Yeah.
But I'm a bit more satisfied now that I know Matt Lucas isn't going to be this. Oh, look at that! That's nice. Oh, character. That's quite a good impression. No, it isn't. I'm quite pleased that he's going to have more of a depth to him.
Yeah.
As we've said before, we were a bit worried about Series 10. This has made me a tiny bit less worried.
Yeah.
Just a tiny bit, but
I mean, it was interesting actually, wasn't it? Because somebody else asked a question at one point around the feel of the next series, and they were sort of saying that each series tends to have a completely different feel.
Yeah.
The last one, it was quite accepted. I think that it was fairly dark, and Stephen Moffat was saying it was probably his favourite one to work on, but he was aware that the whole stuff with Clara did get quite dark.
Yeah.
And he described this as being a new season. He said, actually, you could start watching the first episode.
Yeah.
And it would feel like a new season, a new
series. And
it
would explain the whole cosmos of Doctor Who in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do that.
I'm looking forward to episode 1 of series 10.
The other thing
episodes.
The other sort of thing that was quite interesting was they were talking a little bit about how Bill first comes into it, and they wouldn't give anything away, but they said it was quite different.
Yeah.
So that is intriguing.
It is quite intriguing.
I mean, how different can something be?
I know.
You're still wondering about whether they keep sort of saying that she isn't in the Christmas episode, but
Stephen Moffat keeps saying it. He's saying it too much. And rule 1, the Mofster lies. So
it could be like a Clara type thing, isn't it, where she's got some sort of appearance, like we have with Asylum of the Daleks, where we saw
or
Clara
it could be like an appearance right at the end where she just says, where she's just in it with someone like sitting there or something. And then the TARDIS arrives.
And what it will turn out to be is that it will end up that she is some form of impossible girl.
Yes, probably. Hopefully not.
There's actually about 8 of her.
Yeah, but what they were saying as well is... what was I going to say? I forgot what I was going to say. I forgot I had this good statement planned for about 2 minutes.
Yeah, and then I took it off onto a different tangent.
No, it doesn't matter now.
It'll probably come back next week.
Yeah,
when
probably.
we're doing it all. Yeah, okay. But no, actually, I thought that it was a good Comic-Con. Actually, I mean, we watched all 45 minutes or whatever it was of it, and it was worth a listen. I thought.
Yeah, really good.
There was obviously a limited amount they could say because they don't want to give anything away about the new season, but I was quite impressed with how Pearl came across. She came across very confident, didn't she? And she was sort of explaining in there that obviously it's a whole new experience for her being involved in.
She seems like a really good person. You know?
Yeah, so something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Anyway, we sort of hijacked the news.
Okay.
Did you want to go on to the news?
Can you still hear me from here, guys?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
So, a bit of news which has speculated a tiny bit of mystery this week in the Doctor Who universe, where Stephen Moffat has confirmed that a scriptwriter from the classic series of the programme will pen a script for the upcoming series. This will be the first time a writer from the original series, which ran from 1963 to 1989, will contribute to the revived series, launched in 2005. One director, Graham Harper, has contributed to both runs, helming episodes in 1984 and 85, and from 2006 to 2009. There is no confirmation, though, who the writer will be.
Speculation.
What now?
Yeah.
Who
could it be?
Speculation. I was looking it up. There are numerous writers. I mean, two writers which I've been intrigued. There was a series that was never made, series 27, which they had planned. They had all 4 stories planned.
Okay, where would that have been?
That would be the story. That would be the series after it was cancelled.
Okay, right, yeah.
They had loads of stories planned, but obviously it was cancelled, so they didn't get to that. It would be interesting to see if either Ben Aravanowicz, who's also wrote Remembrance of the Daleks and Battlefield, or Mark Platt, who wrote Ghostlight, I think, who both they both had, well, Ben Aravanowicz had 2 stories planned for that series. It would be good to adapt some of those ideas from those stories to the modern run of Doctor Who.
Have any of those stories from that run ever seen the light of day? Have they come out as sort of audio plays or anything like that?
Yeah, some of them have.
Yeah, because that would probably limit it, because I imagine they'll be going for something fresh. What about the guy that is apparently writing the K9 film?
Bob Baker?
Yeah.
I think he's writing it.
Yeah.
He was the writer of Invisible Enemy with Dave Martin. I don't know whether Dave Martin's alive still.
Yeah.
Terrence Dicks, he's getting quite old now, but Terrence is a really good writer. He's written a few classics. I can't remember what any of them were, but...
What about, Bob Baker, did he write quite a few?
He did. He wrote The Three Doctors. That was his first one.
Oh, cool. It goes back a long time then. It's an intriguing...
No, The Mutants.
It's an intriguing concept, isn't it? And I look forward to see what happens with this. Is it definite? Has it been confirmed, or is this just speculation?
This is confirmed. This is confirmed that a writer will. Stephen Moffat himself confirmed.
Oh, brilliant.
But let's just say that other writers for the series that have already been confirmed are Frank Cottrell Boyce, Sarah Dollard, Mark Gatiss, and new writer Mike Bartlett. It's due for transmission in the spring of 2017.
Cool.
Yeah.
Something to look forward to. No, I am quite intrigued by that whole writer idea. I think that's really different. This next bit of news I've just seen flash up on the screen that you were going to lead on to is probably my favourite bit of Doctor Who news ever.
It is really, really cool news. I was really, I really like the look of these, but it's a bit of merch news. But Random House have announced a new range of books based upon the popular Mr. Men books created by Roger Hargreaves. Doctor Who meets the world of Roger Hargreaves and brings to life Doctor Who characters in the distinctive storytelling and illustrative style of Roger Hargreaves. Puffin Books will publish these stories in the UK. These storybook mashups, written and illustrated by Adam Hargreaves, combine the iconic storytelling of Doctor Who with the whimsical humour and design made famous by his father Roger Hargreaves. The first 4 books will be available in spring 2017, and they look really cool. There's ones of William Hartnell, Tom Baker, Matt Smith and Peter Capaldi, and I particularly like the Peter Capaldi one. Yeah, they look brilliant. What I think is also quite ironic, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, but when you were growing up, when you were a little kid, you were obsessed with the Mr. Men to the same extent that you're obsessed with Doctor Who now. You used to. It's similar to how you. Very long ago.
It was a long time ago, but it's similar to how you can reel off all of the episodes right from the beginning. You used to do exactly the same thing with the Mr. Men. You used to know the entire order of them from the back of the books.
Really?
Yeah. So for you to be able to combine your two obsessions over different ages, I think is a great thing.
I know, and these books look really cool. Will you be getting them, or will you be looking at the ones that I get?
I'll look at the ones with you, probably.
Yeah. What one's your favourite?
Perhaps what I'll do is I'll tuck you into bed at night. Would you like a bedtime story? Would you like Mr. Doctor One?
Doctor First.
Yeah.
Out of the 4 covers, I mean, there's only been 4 covers that have been confirmed, and we'll let you know more about the other editions. I think there are meant to be others, but if not, I'm sure it said somewhere it was 12. But
so which Doctor is this? First, 4th,
11th,
12th. Brilliant.
Really good. What one's your favourite?
I agree with you about the Capaldi.
Yeah.
But also the Tom Baker one looks great.
They're all really good.
It looks a bit like Mr. Tickle from here.
Yeah, they're all really good.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward for these to come out because they look like really good bits of merch.
Definitely. And you'll put a link in the show notes, I'd imagine, will you?
I will put a link in the show notes for those.
Cool. Anything further?
Just need to wait until my other site loads up. But
Can I just say, then whilst you're waiting for the other bit of news to load up, what seems quite funny is that, I mean, the whole idea of a Doctor Who Mr. Men mashup is quite unusual, and yet looking at it on the internet, there seems to be quite a few people have had that idea before, haven't they? So
I know.
I don't know whether that's where it came from. Perhaps people sort of generally saying about how cool that would be, and then word got back to Adam Hargreaves perhaps, and took it from there.
Maybe.
Other news.
This is a bit of news we expected, but according to music.com, Michelle Gomez has reportedly told the site that she'll be returning to film Doctor Who soon. Soon.
So, speculation for me.
Yeah.
Do you think that as Stephen Moffat bought us Missy, that Stephen Moffat will destroy Missy in his final run, or do you think he'll leave the option for other showrunners to keep going with it?
I think maybe he might leave it open like Russell T Davies did, and then if Chris Chibnall wants to continue with Missy, because Missy is popular, but it depends how long she can go, or whether he wants to take a new Master or a new Missy even.
I guess the interesting thing about it with the Master and Missy is we've seen him / her die on a number of occasions and somehow always managed to come back.
Yeah.
So I guess they could write her out and then bring her back quite easily anyway. Have we ever actually seen... You probably know this better than me because I've not seen all of the episodes of Who and quite a number of them for some time. Have we ever actually seen the Master regenerate?
We saw it in the Utopia.
Yeah.
Between Derek Jacobi to John Sim.
Mm-hmm. I've never seen that one actually. That's an episode I've never watched. So, and what about from the Deadly Assassin? Another one which I've not seen. Do we see the Master turn from the?
Oh wait, we do in Keeper of Trakan.
Yeah.
We see. We don't see him in Deadly Assassin because Roger Delgado's been killed, and but the Keeper of Trakan, we see the Mangly Master transform into Councillor Tremus, aka Anthony Ainley.
That's what I was wondering, was whether we saw Ainley actually regenerate, or into Ainley.
Anthony Ainley played a different character called Councillor Tremus, who was Nissa's father.
Ah, right.
But the Master took his form.
Right.
And then Councillor Tremus became the Master.
You probably looked at him and thought, he's got a sort of faint resemblance to how I used to look when I looked like Delgado. I think I'll transform into him.
Yeah.
Because there was definitely a real Master look about both of them, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. Let's see if there's any more in this news. She said, speaking in an interview, weirdly this is the sort of crunch week where I get to find out exactly what I'm going to be doing next. I can officially say I'll be starting on Doctor Who soon, so that's one thing.
Do we know, in terms of the filming schedule for the next season, we know they've done episode 1 and 2
and
3
and 4.
Have they been filming them roughly in order?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
They said on the comic, when we were listening to the Comic-Con interview, they said they've done 4 stories so far, but I guess we don't know that that's 1, 2, 3 and 4, do we?
Yes, we do.
Do we? Right, okay.
Because they're all separate writers.
Okay, right, fine. Good, that answers my query. Thank you very much for that.
I bet this year it's going to be like the format of Series 8, where there's going to be 10 individual episodes and then there'll be a 2-part finale.
Yeah. Do we know who's written the story so far?
I ran through them earlier.
Did you? What you actually said? The 4 names?
Yes.
Oh, did you?
Oh, Mark Gatiss is writing an episode afterwards.
Yeah. So
I
remember you reading out the writers, but I couldn't remember whether you'd read out who'd written the ones that have been done so far.
I did. It's just it's all of them, not Mark Gatiss.
Okay.
I've named them several times.
And I ignored them several times.
Last week we ran through the synopsises for the first 2 episodes of Class. And by the way, guys, Class, the Doctor Who spin-off, is coming to our screens next week on the 22nd of October. So we may be watching that next week.
Yeah, it's quite exciting, isn't it? I mean, for us, we record. I don't know. It depends what time people get around to listening to this podcast. We always record it fairly early on a Saturday afternoon. So it depends what time it drops into the BBC Three box, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
If it drops early enough, we'll be watching it and talking about it next week. If not, you'll have to wait, I'm afraid.
If you don't, there's not really any spoilers there, but you know. If you don't want to hear the synopsis of this story, if you so Decool, if you don't like hearing synopsises, then block your ears. Do you like hearing synopsises?
Yeah, no, fire away with the synopsis.
It doesn't spoil anything about the previous episodes. It's just if you don't want to find out what this episode's about, then
yeah, fire away. I've forgotten by then. Anyway. I couldn't even remember you mentioning the names of the writers earlier on, so the chance of me remembering a synopsis is minimal.
London is infiltrated by an eerie alien with the ability to morph into the shape of lost loved ones. Tanya has an unexpected visitor come to her window in the dead of night, and she's not the only one, as Ram and Miss Quill face their own startling visitors. Confronted with these emotional encounters, the team must overcome the persuasion of this strange new threat and battle through the streets to stop Tanya from being lost forever. The third episode will be available to view on BBC Three on Saturday the 29th of October.
That sounds really good, but I'd just like to point something out.
Yeah.
You've ruined it for me! No, I'm looking forward for Class, actually.
Me too, yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully it will live up to expectations.
What does that episode sound? Do you like the sound of that episode?
Yeah, I did, yeah. Yeah,
okay.
That sounds good.
Cool. I think we have one final bit of news this week, which is BBC American and Fathom Events have... can you still hear me, guys? Have announced that new animated version of Power of the Daleks will be shown in cinemas across the United States on 14th of November 2016, a few days before it premieres on television at 8:25 p.m. on the 19th of November. The showings will also feature the bonus content, including interviews with members of the original cast. So lucky for our American.
I really wish that they were showing it in the cinemas here, actually. I think we would have gone, wouldn't we?
Yeah, we would have done. Yeah,
that'd
definitely.
Been really cool.
But tickets are on sale now via Fathom Events, which will be in the show notes at mrlewismuniteventures.weebly.com.
Okay. So some exciting news, I think, there, actually. It's beginning to hot up a little bit now, isn't it? With the Comic Cons and the build up for Christmas episode and talk coming out of what's going on in the filming. I think we're beginning to start to see
stuff
a little bit more news.
Yeah.
Aren't we? So
stay tuned.
Long may it continue.
Stay tuned for more news.
Okay.
But next up, it's our main feature. So then, today's main feature is called the 6-episode challenge, or the first part of the 6-episode challenge. And we will be, this week, discussing our favourite Classic Who episodes in a way that people wouldn't usually do it. We've got 6, both of us have got 6 episodes written on a list. And we of our favourite 6 Classic Who episodes, and we take it in turns to try and change each other's lists by reading out lists of classic and well known and well loved stories.
Okay, this will be interesting because this isn't a concept I've ever seen. You said you've borrowed it from X Factor. You said
a little bit,
yeah.
A little bit, but I've changed it a little bit.
Okay. So, how are we going to start? Are you going to read out your 6 to start with?
Okay.
So your 6 top classic Who stories are
Genesis of the Daleks.
Mm-hmm.
It's an obvious one.
I might write yours down just so I can. You hear the sound of scribbling going on in the background as I put it down. So
do you want me to pause?
No, that's right. Carry on.
Talons of Weng Chiang. Inferno. The War Games.
Yeah.
The Diamonds.
Yeah.
And Ark in Space.
Okay, that's really funny.
What have you got exactly the same?
That'll make the game a bit difficult, won't it? You'll laugh over my first few. Right, so mine are Genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah.
Talons of Wang Chiang.
Yeah.
War Games.
Okay.
Inferno. So these 4 will be exactly the same, yeah? Enemy of the World.
Oh, yeah.
And the Android Invasion.
You haven't even watched that one.
Why not? Well, I got the main one then. The one with robots in it. What's that called?
That's a good start.
What's the one with the Mark thingy robots?
Robots of Death.
Robots of Death. That's the one I want. Robots of Death.
Okay, I'm gonna write yours down. What were they? Genesis. They were
gonna
similar. I'm gonna put your extra ones were.
So the extra ones are Enemy of the World and the Android Invasion / Robots of Death.
Okay.
There's like a moment like that every week on this podcast, isn't there? Where I'll say something which turns out to be foolish.
Okay. Who wants to go first with changing?
Okay. Well, I agree immediately with your top 4.
Okay.
I think they're really really good, and I think we probably. I don't think either of us will shift those because we both agree on.
We both really.
I think. I mean, just talking briefly about those episodes. I think Genesis of the Daleks is possibly the best ever Doctor Who story.
I would say it is the best in my opinion.
Closely followed by Talons of Wang Chiang.
Yeah. Yeah, quite close.
Yeah. Inferno I thought was really really different. I really liked the portrayal of the alternative.
Yeah, I really love Inferno. It's a very different story, I think, and I love the John Pertwee unit era.
Yeah. And War Games, I think we'd agree on because it's a nice long story with a lot of different bits to it, and then obviously you've got the whole game element of it, but then it also introduces the Time Lords and you get the regeneration.
It's a really interesting 10-parter.
Okay, so aside from that, you've also got the Diamonds and you've got Ark in Space.
Yeah, I mean, the last one, Ark in Space, the 6th spot, I didn't know what to put, so I may change it. If you have, if you reel off some stories.
I am going to challenge yours because I think we watched the Diamonds on.
Would you like Wikipedia on there?
No, I'm going to. I think I've made some notes on here. I'm going to write a few more on. I know you really like the Diamonds.
Yes, I am a big fan of the Diamonds.
Yeah, but.
Yeah.
I also really, really enjoyed it.
Yes.
It's not by any means my favourite from the Pertwee era.
Okay, yeah.
I do really, really like it. But it's not my favourite.
Yeah. Should I say why I love the Diamonds so
you
much?
talk a little bit about.
I mean, as you guys may know, I've been really enjoying the Pertwee era recently, and I love the full-on unit stories. And I really think definitely the latter part of the Diamonds is a really good example, and I think is one of the best ones. And it's a toss-up between the Diamonds and Spearhead from Space, but I wanted to go with one that Decool has watched. So
okay. Well, see, that was one of the ones I was going to challenge you with. Is that? Well, I'll start with the other one first of all. I'm surprised. I've not seen this one, so I can't comment.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Invasion isn't in there.
Okay.
Because to me, I always figured that the Cybermen, early Cybermen, were one of your favourite sets of villains.
They are, and I've now. Don't get me wrong. There are a couple of stories I completely forgot about from the Patrick Troughton era.
Yeah.
Which were Tomb of the Cybermen and the Invasion. So, Ark in Space. Ark in Space is my first one to be replaced. And I'm going to replace Ark in Space with... Let me just write it down over here.
So, yeah, it did surprise me. It didn't have. I forgot about Tomb of the Cybermen. It surprised me it didn't have Invasion in it.
Tomb of the Cybermen replaces Ark in Space.
So of the two, so you prefer Tomb of the Cybermen than Invasion?
I think so.
Okay. The other one that I was surprised isn't in your list, and I'm going to throw this as a challenge to the Diamonds.
Okay.
Is the William Hartnell Dalek episode?
Dalek Invasion
of Earth.
Okay, I love Dalek Invasion of Earth. Dalek Invasion of Earth is a brilliant story, don't get me wrong. But I wouldn't say, in my opinion, it's in my top 6. Okay. Whereas the Diamonds I've really enjoyed. And, you know, I need to have a better judgment on Dalek Invasion of Earth because I've only watched it once. So, you know, I need to have a better judgment on that one. And it's a really good story. But I don't know whether it's a pure classic that makes it up to the really higher points of the list. It's quite close to my top 6, and I was having trouble deciding whether...
I've got 2 more that I'm going to throw at you as challenges. One of them is Spearhead from Space.
Okay.
It's a classic Auton one with a great scene. One of the best scenes of all time for Doctor Who.
No.
With all the Autons breaking out of the shop windows.
Yes.
I think to me that coupled with the Cybermen walking down St Paul's is probably...
Yeah, some classic scenes. And the Daleks going across.
If an interesting challenge perhaps for another day, maybe for us to... Perhaps we could do this in week 3 and 4. Top 6 scenes ever in Doctor Who.
Yes, that might be good.
So,
I was going to do this as a challenge for a few features.
Yeah. So that was one of them that I'm going to challenge the Diamonds with Spearhead from Space.
Now, you guys, depending on what the last one is, you know, I could swap. I'm not swapping my first 4. I'm not swapping Genesis, Talons of Wing Chang, Inferno, or the War Games, just in case there's something other than something I've completely forgot about. But I am going to swap the Diamonds with Spearhead from Space.
And the other one I was going to throw in as a challenge is Terror of the Zygons.
Okay, now you may know... No, you may not know that. I love the Zygons as monsters. But the episode itself of Terror of the Zygons, I don't think is one of the strongest ever.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Terror of the Zygons as an episode. It's just, I don't know whether it's in a top 6 list. I don't know whether it's one of the best that I've ever seen. So I don't think it beats any of the 6.
Okay. That is your challenge complete.
Okay.
Because
so should
I think, as I say, I agree completely with the first 4. And if I was writing down your 6, I think the 6 that you've got down on that bit of paper now is what I would have thought you would have written.
So I've got Genesis of the Daleks, Talons of Weng Chiang, Inferno, the War Games, Tomb of the Cybermen, and Spearhead from Space. As I don't have my notes with me, I'm going to load up the Wikipedia page with the full list of serials.
Okay, which is what I did when I was trying to find my 6 favourite ones, and I still managed to get the name wrong of one of them.
Yeah, I know, that's weird. It's because it's what one did you confuse? Yeah, it's the series before.
The Android Invasion and Robots of Death.
It's the series before, so...
Okay. But just I recognise the robots, and it was sort of the name, the fact that it had a robot-y name. So, in terms of my six then, just to remind you then, so I had Genesis of the Daleks, Talons of Wang Chang, War Games, Inferno, and then the two different ones, which is Enemy of the World,
and Robots of Death,
which is a Patrick Troughton, fairly recently recovered story, and the Robots of Death, which is a Fourth Doctor classic.
Okay, so let's say that Robots of...
Sorry, before you start challenging that, what I probably should just say is, whilst you've seen the vast majority of classic Who episodes, I've watched a lot of them when I was younger, but I haven't seen them for a long time. I don't know which ones I've watched and which ones I haven't, other than the ones we've been watching on the randomizer.
Yeah.
So things like Invasion and Spearhead from Space, I've not seen, other than in clip form.
Okay, so this is much harder than yours, because Robots of Death and Enemy of the World are two stories that I admire very greatly. Mm-hmm. Robots of Death is a brilliant Tom Baker episode.
And the Android Invasion?
Yeah.
Is that any good?
Yeah, it's okay. It's not one of the best. Robots of Death makes... Robots of Death was one which... What I was thinking, am I going to put Ark in Space or Robots of Death? And I put Ark in Space because I already had Talons of Weng Chiang from the series, but I had Genesis, so I don't know why I was thinking that from the Ark in Space
Are they all from the same series?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
No, I mean Genesis from the Ark in Space series.
Yeah.
Sorry. Enemy of the World, I love the idea of Salamander. Mm-hmm. I love Patrick Troughton's acting in that story, and I really admire it. Although I did not think it makes the 6.
No.
I mean, some classics in this list, but I'm going to reel off a few for you.
Okay.
I'm going to start with Pertwee's, because Pertwee episodes...
There was one Pertwee episode, and I won't say what it was until you started challenging, but there was one that I had on the list when I was first writing it, and then I went with Robots of Death.
Okay. I'm going to say a Pertwee episode we watched very recently, which I don't know whether you'd change it for. Mm-hmm. But Pertwee episode we watched very recently, which I know you heavily enjoyed, was the Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
That was the one. That was very nearly on my list. And I thought about it, and however much I did enjoy it, and I really did, it was a tough decision to make, but I think Robots of Death is slightly better than that episode. If I was going for a 7th story, it would be Invasion of the Dinosaurs, I think.
I think Invasion of the Dinosaurs is a very intriguing story.
Yeah, I mean the effects have dated, haven't they? But it is a really good story.
It's a really good story. Yeah. Let's go up to the Patrick Troughton years.
It's probably a lot harder trying to change mine because I've not seen quite as many of them as you. So there's a lot of classics that I've not yet watched.
Yeah, this is really hard for me. I'm going to throw at you 2 more John Pertwee ones.
Okay.
Which are classics that we've watched quite recently. Claws of Axos. Mm-hmm. Claws of Axos, is that going to be a determiner?
Again, it's a very good story. All of the Pertwee stuff we've seen. I mean, I've actually only got one Pertwee one in here, which is Inferno.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of Pertwee ones which are bubbling just under.
I've only got one Pertwee one.
And
wait, 2 actually.
This one that would be one that's bubbling under. Have you noticed as well that we've both only covered the second, third, and fourth Doctors?
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
Another one I'm going to throw at you is one that you enjoyed.
Uh-huh.
Colony in Space.
Yeah, it was down there. I've written it down in my reserve list.
Does it make it?
It doesn't make it, no.
Okay.
It doesn't make it.
This is really hard for you.
It's a really great story. Colony in Space, it was like my little dark horse, wasn't it? It was, for a long time it was there right near the top of my table, and you kept sort of saying, it's not that good, it's not as good as the way you've got it.
It's like a guilty pleasure.
But yeah, definitely. There's something about
like
Colony
the Time
Space.
Monster is my guilty pleasure.
I really liked it. I thought it was a really good story, and maybe a little bit long, but it's not of the quality of these 6 here.
My final poetry one,
Mm-hmm.
Ambassadors of Death.
Tough one, because I really enjoyed that as well, and I just, again, reinforcing what I said earlier, I think that poetry era is so strong.
Yeah.
Really, really strong era. But no, it cannot beat Robots of Death.
Right, going into the Tom Baker era.
I don't think you're going to shift these.
No, neither do I. I'm going to give up in a sec. Because I've named some classics.
But as I say, it's a bit harder because I've not, if I've seen, once I've seen Invasion, for instance, then it may well be that's their fighting to break through.
Okay, so, Pyramids of Mars.
Good story, but I personally, I do think Pyramids of Mars is one of those slightly overrated stories.
Okay, yeah.
I really like it, but a lot of people say it's their favourite or thereabouts. It's not of that high quality to me.
Hand of Fear.
Hand of Fear, if it carried on for episodes 3 and 4 like it did 1 and 2,
isn't that good enough?
I would agree. I really love the first 2 parts, but not the third and fourth parts. They're okay, but they're not as strong. One more? Get that brain clicking.
Let me go.
I thought it'd be difficult for you to overturn these because, as I say, I've not watched as many as you have. So it was a little bit easier for me to narrow it down, I think. I very much doubt there's anything post Tom Baker that would.
I'm not looking at.
No.
I'm looking at William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton, which I don't think you're going to choose any of them because you've hardly seen any of them.
Yeah.
I'm going to determine 2 more, which I know you're not going to swap for, but Robot and the Sontaran Experiment.
Okay.
Which I know you're not going to change these.
I won't change either, no. Robot's a really strong story, actually. Not that everyone likes Robot, do they? But it's got some classic bits in it. Like the post-regeneration stuff is brilliant, I think, when he's doing all the skipping and stuff like that, and he's clearly a little bit bonkers. And
my paper.
the other one, what was the second one?
Sontaran
Experiment. I really like that one as well. It's nice, short and sweet.
Yeah.
I like the whole idea of the Sontaran carrying out these experiments on the desolated Earth, but it's not Robots of Death.
Okay.
So, I'm sticking with my 6.
Okay.
That's not to detract from your efforts.
That was really hard.
Dissuading, but I think it was always going to be harder to change it. I think it would be easier when it comes to New Who, actually.
Because you've seen a lot of
Yeah.
coming to New Who.
Yeah.
It's not many you haven't seen.
No, and I think the difference is with the classic Who. I've seen quite a lot of them, but there's still a high number of some of the real big classics that I've not yet watched again.
Yeah. So,
good item.
that's our lists.
So next week then, well, actually it'd be interesting if people wanted to tweet their top 6
I've done
episodes.
There's a tweet already. It's 6 episode challenge. Hashtag 6 episode challenge.
Can you just remind people of your Twitter address?
It's at drwhotime as in N space.
Okay.
I always do that. So, what's your final 6?
My final 6: Genesis of the Daleks, Talons of Wang Chang, War Games, Inferno, Enemy of the World, and the Robots of Death.
Okay. I'll post them on our website.
Okay. Feel free to challenge away, folks. We'd love to hear what your top 6 are. As we say, classic Who only, because we'll be breaking into New Who.
We'll be doing New Who next week.
Excellent.
Unless class drops.
And then maybe we'll do both. Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay. Let's bring it on to the next item.
Okay. So then, our review this week is just a quick sort of sum up of what we've been watching this week, and next week on episode 182 we will talk about this episode in full, and the episode is a John Pertwee episode, and it's Mind of Evil.
So because it's 6 parts, whenever it's a 6-part one, we don't get time to watch all 6 parts during the week.
No, we don't.
We have to watch it when we're together, so we tend to always split those into 2 chunks.
We watch it into 2 chunks. So next week will be our full review, but Deacle's going to give a little synopsis, and then we're both going to give a little verdict of what we've watched from the first 3 parts.
For speed, I'll just read the first paragraph of the Wikipedia page. I think that's probably the best thing. Third Doctor and Joe Grant visit Stanmore Prison to examine a new method of treating criminals, whereby negative impulses are removed from the mind using the Keller machine. Professor Kettering, who is managing the use of the process at the behest of the absent Emil Keller, reconditions a number of inmates, including Barnum, a hardened criminal who reverts to an innocent and childlike state due to the process. The Doctor's suspicions about the Keller machine are heightened following a string of deaths, including that of Kettering himself, which occur when the machine is operated. Each death seems to involve personal phobias, and the Doctor is threatened by an inferno when he gets too close to the machine. And that's the thrust of it. In the background to that as well, we've also then got the unit story, which is associated around a international peace conference.
Yeah.
And basically the various things that are going on around the peace conference, linked to, again, the Kettering machine, are threatening... Kelling machine, sorry, are threatening the entire safety of the world.
The delegates as well. What I was going to say is... I was going to say something, but I completely forgot.
Let's take that clicky pen away from you.
I completely forgot where it was.
Yeah. What do you make of it? First thing we've watched. The version we've been watching is all black and white, isn't it?
It's all black and white, because it's an earlier version.
Mm-hmm.
But you may know that I didn't have that good memory of this story. I didn't really, from what I remember, I didn't like this story. But I've come in with low hopes, and I've come out with high standards. There's high. It's quite a good story. The story particularly is really good.
Yeah, I guess what's probably worth mentioning there, isn't it, is that when you watched this first time, you're probably talking about 3 years ago, so you would have been sort of like 8 or 9, wouldn't you, around that sort of time? 9, yeah. So, you've grown up a lot since then. You've watched a lot more of the black and white ones anyway. I know this one wasn't meant to be black and white, but it is. And I think you were watching from memory all of the Pertwee ones pretty much in order, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you would have gone from all the glossy colour.
Yeah, I know.
Of sort of Terror of the Autons and things straight into the black and white of the Mind of Evil. Plus, as you rightly pointed out when we were talking earlier on, when you were little, you only really liked the one with monsters in.
Yeah, so... And
there's not really a monster in
this
this
one. There's not
one.
really a monster, it's just the Master and a couple more villains. I found this a really enthralling story so far. The whole idea of people being killed by their own worst nightmares, I think, is brilliant. And the fact that you get one guy who dreams he's drowning. Yeah.
Thinks he's drowning.
That's a really good way of execution. It's a really good idea. It's
a good punishment, isn't it? Sort of a way to go, you know. Stuff the electric chair. Let's get them. Their way of going out is to actually go out via some form of personal hell.
I don't think this story's one which has something that it's notable for. I don't think it's a very memorable one.
No.
Because all stories in this series have the Master in. It's like Colony in Space isn't notable because it has the Master in.
Yeah, there is that. But I think the whole idea that sits behind it, as I say, with this machine, to me, is pretty noticeable.
It is a really good story idea.
Yeah.
I do think that.
And I really like Jo in this one, actually. I mean, Jo's not anywhere near my favourite companion, but I really enjoyed her in this one. I really liked the bit when, without sort of spoiling it too much, listeners, there's a riot in the police, in the prison, and Jo sort of leaps to the rescue, doesn't she?
Yeah.
And I thought she came across really, really well in that bit.
It's a really good.
And Pertwee's good.
He is, yeah, as always.
Yeah.
Pertwee is a really good doctor.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say it's necessarily Pertwee's strongest episode, in that
No.
I think his performance of the Doctor is better in some of the other ones we've watched, but he's still good, and it's cracking. I'm really looking forward to seeing the next two parts.
Yeah, me too. Well. Much better than I was expecting, and we'll let you know what we thought of parts 4 to 6.
Yeah,
next
I know
time.
We looked last week, didn't we? I can't remember if it was on the show or after the show. We looked up where this story sat in the Doctor Who magazine poll last time around. And it was quite high, actually, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So it was around the 100 marks or something around that, I think.
76?
Was it higher than that? Was it? Yeah.
80?
So it's obviously sort of held in quite high regard. So and I can see why.
Yeah.
It's a good story. I'm looking forward for parts 4, 5 and 6, and we shall talk about The Mind of Evil in its entirety next week.
Right.
So that brings us on to our final part of the show.
Yes.
It's the 3-minute rant.
So you heard that. It's the 3-minute rant. And the 3-minute rant is a little thing. We haven't done it for quite a few weeks now.
No.
And it's a game show type thing where it's our latest one of these 3 game show things, and we take it in turns to ask each other about a topic of anything to do with Doctor Who, and the other person has to respond to it in a time of exactly 3 minutes.
So it's my turn to go first this time, isn't it?
You're
so you're going to
first.
ask me the question. We haven't told each other what these questions are.
No.
So, which will be plainly obvious when we
Well,
desperately try and answer them.
I'll just get the online stopwatch up.
Oh, online stopwatch. I have got a stopwatch if we need it. You going to
I-
go with that one? Okay. So,
Wait, that's
3 seconds, that would do me.
0, 0, 3. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I'll just do this one up here.
yeah.
This
Okay.
one's easier here. So our question, or your question, is what characteristics do you need to make a good Doctor or Doctor Who character?
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Okay. Yeah. Ready to go.
3, 2, 1, go.
I think in determining the characteristics for what makes a good Doctor, and I'll start with the Doctor, and probably that will take most of the 3 minutes. I think the key thing to remember is the fact that he is an alien. And therefore there's got to be something about the way he's portrayed that reminds you constantly that he is an alien. But whilst you need to be reminded that he's an alien, because of the fact that he's got such a great love for Earth and the human race, he's also got to have human qualities to him. So he can't just come out and be 100% alien. He's got to be part alien, part human. And I think that if I was to look at the Doctors that I think have portrayed him the best, also the actors that have portrayed him the best, there'd be those that most effectively captured that. And I think in that respect it would be Tom Baker, it would be Peter Capaldi, and it would be Patrick Troughton. I think those are the 3. It's funny because we were talking about our love for John Pertwee earlier on. Pertwee doesn't have the same level of alienness about him, I don't think, as certainly the 3 that I've just mentioned, and certainly not to the extent of someone like Matt Smith, who again I think was very alien. But I think that this is why, in many respects, I struggled a little bit more with David Tennant's portrayal of the Doctor. However much most people really, really like him, I still find him a little bit more human And perhaps where I found I did like him more were those stories towards the end of his run, where those sort of alien qualities come out. So I think in terms of the Doctor, I think that's probably the key attributes, and also that ability to be able to swap from being caring to also at times being harsh. In terms of characters more generally, there's different ways of looking at it. I think actually a lot of the other supporting characters, you want to feel very, very human. You want them to feel like they're the sort of people that you could bump into in the street, and you want to be able to associate with them. If you take people like the people in Unit, you want them to feel like soldiers would feel. But the vast majority of people, and this is where perhaps to a certain extent the companions have deteriorated in a way, is because of the fact that they've become less human and less easy to associate with. And in the end, that's what we want most of all from our companions.
It's the 3-minute rant. Okay, there we go.
That was actually quite a good topic to talk about. Actually, it was enjoyed that one.
Thanks. Cool.
So, are you able to operate this yourself?
Should be.
Okay, so your 3-minute rant. Hopefully you'll like this one. Is I want you to argue. You may not agree with this, but I want you to try and argue a case for it anyway. Why it was right to have a gap year for Doctor Who this year.
Okay, okay.
You can, I'd like to start by arguing for that case. If you don't agree with it, halfway through, you can swap the argument round.
I'll explain a little bit about it first of all.
Okay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Now, I have different opinions about there being a gap year with Doctor Who. As you may know, there has been no Doctor Who in 2016 except from the spin-off class, which is coming next week, and the Christmas special. But I do think there are some positives of that. I think Stephen Moffat's been saying recently that the show's going to become more fresh. And I think with the last few series of Doctor Who, it's really become quite dark. And I know me and Deacle both preferred that, I suppose, in some ways, to the lighter-hearted series in the David Tennant and Matt Smith eras. And now it's going to go back to a more light-hearted series. And the good thing is now they have time to freshen up their ideas. This is Stephen Moffat's last series. And he wants to go off in a good way, I'm sure he does. And I think this year there's a new companion, there's loads of new characters, there's a new sort of style to the tone of how this series is going to be set out, and last year's ratings weren't particularly strong. So this year I think they're trying to find ways of trying to improve said ratings by having this gap year and having time to rethink stuff. I mean, Peter Capaldi is brilliant in both light-hearted situations and dark situations, mainly the latter. And, I mean, I think the gap year is good to freshen up ideas, but there's also the way of it being distracting that we do not get a proper series of Doctor Who this year. Doctor Who needs to have, it needs to be on regularly so it can keep its child fans. And I think the main reason it needs a gap year is to reintroduce it to the child fans. And if it has the gap year and if it has breaks, it won't be able to do that because child fans will lose interest. So that is what I think. of there being a gap year, and there are positives and negatives of both of them.
Hey, it's your 3-minute rant.
Yeah, it's my 3-minute rant. Okay.
Well done. Yeah, that was good. That was interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, just picking up that whole thing, I tend to agree with you that there are positives and negatives.
Yeah.
I tend to think, if I was to look at a negative on it, I do think that it's going to be very difficult to keep that interest with young people. I mean, we've seen the dwindling numbers in terms of the Doctor Who. I
just remembered that right near the end, and I was thinking, no, I need more time to say.
I need a 4-minute rant.
Yeah.
But no, I think that was quite noticeable that the numbers dropped off during the last series, and it would have been because it was so dark. But they've somehow got to try and win those people back.
Yeah, they have.
And that's difficult because there's always other fresh stuff coming in. I think the other thing is that we've also seen over the last year or so the reintroduction of Star Wars.
Yes.
And I think that being in many respects the biggest blockbuster of sci-fi is always going to take in a lot of those young fans as well.
Yeah. Well, interesting 3-minute rant from both of us.
Yeah. That brings us to the end.
That brings us to the end of the show. Next week it's episode 182. Are we doing the second part of our 6-episode challenge?
I think we should, yeah.
And we'll be looking at New Who next week, and we may be reviewing Class next week. We may not be.
Depends what time it drops on the BBC Three website, doesn't it? What we will be doing though, we will be giving a roundup of the whole of The Mind of Evil, a bit more of an in-depth review and thoughts on that.
We will be looking at the latest news.
We will be pressing the magic randomizer button.
And we will be playing another round, if we have time, of Who to Face.
So thank you very much for listening.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure to bring
you our thoughts. Thank you for listening, wherever you're listening from. I'm Lewis Moon.
I'm D. Cool. Remember, you can listen to this, if you haven't already, you can listen to the podcast every week on YouTube, Podomatic, and hopefully iTunes again, if we can get it up on there again.
Sorry, apologies if you can't get it working on there. Well, you can't hear us apologising.
Yeah. Remember to keep in contact. We'd love to hear from you. So if you want to drop us a note, either do so in the comments on any of those 3 areas, or drop Lewis a tweet on
DR Who time N space.
Yeah,
I didn't do it.
Space.
As in N. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it for today. Hope you had a good week in the Whoniverse, and I hope you enjoyed the show.
I'm off to watch The Android Invasion, and we shall see you next week.
And I'm off to do some thinking of what my joke's going to be next week. We will see you next time. Same time.
Same space.
Goodbye. Goodbye.